Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm your host, Connor King Roberts, with another episode of the Pivot Podcast, where we interview business leaders and entrepreneurs across the tech industry. Today, I'm excited to introduce a special VIP guest, Andy Seeley, the founder and CEO of Creatively Disruptive and Ashworth Strategy. Andy, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Thanks, Connor. It's lovely being here. Looking
Of
forward.
course. Yeah, thank you so much. So just to dive right in, I know you and I spoke a little bit about this before the interview kicked off, but would you mind giving our listeners like a 2 to 3 minute breakdown of what you do and who you serve? That would be awesome, please.
Sure. So we serve a number of businesses, but or niches, but the main focus is small business. So all of our clients, we've got about 110 are small businesses. And a few of them, a number of them, about 12, if I'm honest, are e-com brands selling everything from toe rings to hairbrushes to all sorts of different things online. And thankfully, they're all doing really quite well at the moment. Coming into the summer, it starts picking up as well, which is really good to see. The other part of our business, which is kind of very dear to my heart, is the kids activity, kind of like local small business marketing that we do. And whilst we've got a couple of kind of trades type businesses, like we've got a couple of drywalling companies and house remodeling companies that work with us, the majority of those are actually kids activity centers. So like gymnastics gyms, dance schools, we've got a number of schools that we work with, karate, kind of all of that kind of stuff. It's more family centric. But the majority, I would say, out of 110, probably 108 are local small businesses or small businesses like the small business e-com brands. And what we do is we help them grow. And obviously e-com's a little bit different. It's pure sale online. And then the local business is more about, it's very much old school marketing in a lot of ways, where it's about branding. It's about getting the message out. I always call it, when I do my lectures and so forth, that, or speeches and presentations, at conferences and so forth, I call it communicating with your community. And that's probably 90% of the business that we do is helping those small businesses reach out to the community and help explain what they do and actually become a household name in a 10-mile radius, because that's usually the target zone. You know, you've got your business here and we want everything around here to absolutely know what you are and what you do, and we do that. And we utilize digital marketing. We use some old school marketing tactics. We use AI. We use all the tools in the tool shed to get it done.
Yeah, that's awesome to really put their name out there, like a local, business that might not necessarily have the tools or the know-how to do it, and that's where you come in to be that mediator and amplify their voice. So I think that's really awesome. You listed a lot of different things that you do and that are, rather niche, I would say. But if you had to say, what your superpower is, or the unique skill or insight that sets you apart in your space, what would it be, and how has it shaped your success so far?
I think we really think of it. We use digital marketing as a tool where it's not the be all and end all. It's like a delivery method. We kind of hark back to kind of what's important, which is targeting of the right people, talking to the right people, talking to them in a way that is most attractive. And we really think about the messaging of what a client does. We don't just put ads out there and hope it works. We actually think about who the niche is, or who the target audiences and what is important to them. And then more importantly, we really think about how that person wants to behave, right? So, and that's something, if you think about it, like if you even go back 50 years before the internet, that was something that you had to think about in marketing. And a lot of marketing companies are run by people that oftentimes, especially the digital marketing space, I would say, especially the digital marketing space, where they might be very good at knowing what buttons to push and how the algorithm works on Meta, right? Or TikTok or whatever. But oftentimes where they're not so strong is actually understanding audiences, understanding what messaging works and understanding how that person might behave when they hear that message. So we really work hard to really understand that, especially in the niches that
Yeah.
we serve. Because, oftentimes, what would work for me and you might not work for my wife, right?
Mm-hmm.
She might see something and it's going to appeal to her. And then the way you respond is going to be different to the way I respond, which is going to be different to how she responds or wants to respond. And you've got to kind of take all of that into whatever strategy you put together. So we dig really deep into making sure that we're covering all those bases, because each base that you don't cover is a percentage point less efficiency or less effectiveness, which ultimately ends up being less results and less happy customers. Because the reality is the majority of the customers that we have give you a very, not that we have a baker, but I always use this baker analogy. If we had a client that's a bakery, it's typically owned by a baker, a person that's interested in baking. Like we do have lots of gymnastics gyms. Typically they're owned by or gymnastics coaches or people who love coaching gymnastics. They're not run by business people. And that's really oftentimes the way when it comes to small ma and pa's. They're run by technicians that are really good at delivering the service or the product. Oftentimes not so good at trying to figure out how to communicate with the community. And those are really the client that I love, because they're usually very good at what they do. They just don't always know how to get the word out.
Yeah, they're an expert in their field, maybe not necessarily the business side of things, and you're an expert in your field, which is getting the name out there in marketing. And that ties into my next question is, like, what inspired, you to pursue this current path? Was there like an aha moment where certain things trending in that direction and just kind of made sense for you? I guess what inspired your day one?
Yeah, so if we're talking about day one being the founding of Creatively Disruptive, which was about 10 years ago, which is basically a lifetime ago when it comes to the digital marketing world. Yeah. That came from, I'd been a publisher for about 8 years before that, printing magazines, putting them into hotel rooms. It was one of those tourism magazine kind of companies. So, when you go and stay in a hotel room and there's a magazine on the dresser, it might have been my magazine that you were reading.
Awesome.
And it was very specific, and it was pretty much about restaurants and fun things to do. And it was very location driven. And it was print, which, even though I still to this day believe that it's something that works, because, hey, when you go in a hotel room and there's a magazine to read, oftentimes you pick it up and look through it to try to get some ideas of where to go, right? Google doesn't always give you all the information. Oftentimes when I stay in a hotel room, I'll go downstairs and talk to the front desk and say, hey, where's a good place to eat, right? Those magazines still have value. But in reality, restaurants, bars, tourist companies and so forth, activity companies, they were not so excited about spending money on print. They were wanting to spend money online. So my business partner, Russell Masters, he came to me in 2015 and said, hey, let's go online. Let's start doing stuff. He is the technical guy. He is the programming, website developing, meta jumping guy that gets everything done and kind of comes up with all of the different ways to make the algorithm thing sing. And I'm more of the messaging, kind of like niching, how people's brains work guy. So we decided to start up in 2015, and the reason why we ended up going down the kids activity route in a strong way, because I would say 85% of our business is schools and kids activity centers and so forth.
Yeah.
The reason why we went down that route was because my wife and I had owned a gymnastics gym. My wife is a gymnastics coach. She's still registered with USA Gymnastics to this day.
Wow.
And she was like, my industry isn't good at this, but it's a great thing that's great for kids, especially girls, right? Is there anything that you guys can do? So we started it, and it started to take off. And, fast forward 9 years, I guess, that we've been doing it specifically with kids activity centers. We've got a really solid base of clients, many of whom, like our first client that we ever had, is still with us today, which is really you know. So
Yeah.
we don't add clients at, we're not one of these companies that looks to add 100 customers a month. We try to add, a good number a month, but we want to make sure that they're well taken care of at each step.
Totally.
Because letting those guys down, to me, is kind of unacceptable. The small business owners oftentimes who don't have a lot of money to waste, they need things to work. Oftentimes they come to us and not feeling great about life, and we come in and we actually can make a really big difference. So we founded the company to be a company that takes care of people.
Yeah.
One of the things I say, and I didn't bring this up to you before we spoke, but one of the main reasons why we started the company is both Russell and myself had businesses before that struggled and had, especially during the Great Recession, 2009, 2010. And one of the things that I said to Russell was, I want to have a business that when somebody's staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m. in the morning, wondering how they're going to make payroll, wondering how they're going to get through the next day, that they can go to sleep going, okay, sure, this is a problem, but I can call Creatively Disruptive in the morning and we'll see if we can figure this out. And that was a really big thing, because I remember when I owned my business, I didn't have anybody to talk to, and it was super, super stressful. So we kind of based the formation of the company around that, to be a company that if that you've got somebody fighting in your corner that knows what you're doing and knows what you're dealing with, and actually has some answers to the problems that you may have. Because there probably isn't any problem that I haven't seen over the last 10 years that we haven't been able to get through and fix.
I feel like you've seen it all.
Yeah, I'd like to. I say that and it sounds a little bit arrogant. I feel like I've seen. I feel like I've seen a lot, and more importantly, because of the number of clients that we have, we've seen what they've done to get through almost every issue that similar clients that we bring on are maybe dealing with at that point. So it's like, hey, when you start working with a company like ours, you can kind of like, I guess, log into that database of things to overcome different challenges and different things that have gone on, because we do tend to collaborate and bring that stuff together. So that's kind of like, I guess, in a very long-winded, wishy-washy kind of way, but it's true. We founded the business based on, we wanted to be different. We wanted to make a difference, and we wanted to be that person that you call, Connor, at 8 a.m. in the morning after having a sleepless night.
Yeah. You said just a lot of great and beautiful things just then, but like two things that stuck out to me was definitely that, that you had a business in the past. Obviously the recession took place, and then times were hard for everyone across the board. So you were literally in that position yourself, and you thought, how cool would it be if I created a company, and our mission statement is that when someone feels like there is no hope left for their company, that they can feel comfortable calling you and seeing what they can figure out. I think that's beautiful. I also think it's really cool that your wife is involved with gymnastics herself, and that's how she sort of spotted the opportunity. So to backpedal a little bit, when you are positioning your messaging and marketing, is there one particular client or customer or like person in the family that you are steering your messaging towards, like a key decision maker?
Yeah. Well, when it comes to kids' activity centers and families, well, if I'm honest, if you're going after a household of any type, even if you're a plumber, the person who makes the decision, I think we all know who it is typically the wife or the mum, right? Yeah. I like to think that I'm a major decision maker and the head of the household. The reality is I would be kidding myself if I was to do anything without the okay of Mrs. Seeley. If she's not on page with me, it's going to be difficult. If I go ahead and do it, I'm never going to hear the end of it, and I'll probably end up backing it out. So from a targeting standpoint, what we almost always work with, especially when it comes to the kid-centric stuff or the more family-based things, the targeting is the mum, and the mum's nine times out of 10 are the main decision maker anyway. So if you can get them really going for it and really all over it, they're going to do it. The other part of it is oftentimes, I hate to say it, and it sounds stereotypical, but mums or the wife in the family, what we've seen statistically, are typically the ones that are looking to improve things in the family. In the family, not necessarily from a financial standpoint or, other things, that might be a little bit more, geared to others. But when it comes to helping their kids have a better situation from a schooling standpoint or an activity standpoint or a well-being thing for the family, oftentimes that's driven by the mum.
Yeah.
And and whilst you might feel that, and some people might say, well, that sounds stereotypical. I do that. I'm a dad. And well, statistically, we've seen that when we do campaigns and we focus on mums, that campaign success is maybe 80 to 90% more successful than when we focus on dads. Now, we do campaigns where we focus on both, but almost always the people that come through the system are the mums. So that's the thing. And I would suggest that if you're a local small business, no matter what it is, focus on trying to hit that kind of demographic because they are really the purse holders in the households.
Yeah, I think that's excellent advice. And it might seem like, clear as day now that we've identified it and we're talking about it, but hindsight's 2020. So I'm sure it probably took a few tweaks to fully realize that and look at the numbers and see, okay, you know what? The moms are handling these types of situations. My mom had me in swim classes when I was younger, and that was 100% her idea, even if I was like, X me out. She was like, I don't think so. So I get that. You talked about building lasting relationships with your clients, with all of these different types of businesses. And I do think that's really important just because, you mentioned that a lot of them are putting a lot of their own money towards it, and they're in sometimes a tricky situation. So how would you say, how important has networking been for you throughout your business journey and career?
So networking, I would say, and it's kind of interesting being a digital marketing company. A lot of our clients come through our funnel, right? So our digital, our funnel, where it's maybe, I guess you could argue that is a form of networking. But from a networking standpoint, I've got to say it has been really important having relationships with different industries. The fact that I speak at regional congresses and conferences for different sports organizations, I would suggest is a direct networking opportunity for where I get connected with lots of different businesses of the kind that we want to serve. And it's been tremendous, if I'm honest. So, and what typically happens from a networking standpoint, if you're out there trying to, rub shoulders and speak with people is you tend to build relationships that last as well. What I'd probably say is if I had 10 people come through personal connections in my network and 10 people that came through Meta, that most of those 10 will still be with us in 5 years' time, whereas many of the ones that come through Meta might not because they're not as invested, they're maybe not as knowledgeable of what we do. And as soon as there's a difficulty, quicker to drop out of it than they might be from a networking standpoint. That's not to say that the majority of our clients, if I'm honest with you, have come through digital marketing. The reason for that is that I can reach 5,000 of my clients through digital marketing every month, whereas with networking, I might get to speak to 10 or 12.
True that. Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. I just wanted to hear your thoughts and opinions on that. And I know that AI is definitely a tool that you utilize to help market. AI is everywhere these days. It's getting smarter as the days go by. How has AI impacted your industry and how are you utilizing it exactly? If you could give us like a peek behind the curtain just a little bit.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about mums, and this could be a plumbing issue, it could be wanting to get the kitchen remodeled, it could be wanting to get their kid into swim classes or gymnastics, dance or whatever. Oftentimes that mum is doing that at the end of a day.
Yeah.
oftentimes the kids have gone to bed. Oftentimes she's having 5 minutes of not being bothered by somebody. And oftentimes she'll pick up the phone and she'll be looking at Instagram or Facebook or whatever, just catching up on stuff and looking at what silly things are out there, or what her sister's cats are doing, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And then being able to put your ad out there and that person starting to engage with you, oftentimes historically pre AI and some of the products that we're actually able to offer now, that mom is engaged at 10 o'clock at night on a Sunday and you're closed, right? No one's in the office, no one's at the front desk, no one's there to take that inquiry that she puts in her inquiry, however that is, that gets sent off, and it just sits in there till the morning, and she's had the whole night to go to sleep and to rest on it. She wakes up in the morning, she's got chaos and kids and getting running around doing all the things that mums do, and they have jobs oftentimes as well, and they're running around crazy busy till 9 o'clock at night the next day. So one of the things that I would say has been an amazing tool is AI. Text-based AI is what we use mainly because that's where most people are. You mentioned before the podcast before we started about voice AI. Right now, voice AI I don't think is that good, but even more importantly, you call me, Connor, even though I'd want to maybe talk to you, I'm probably not picking up unless I absolutely know it's you.
Yeah.
And then I might still not pick up if I'm on a meeting or something, right? I'm going to. However, if you texted me, I'm going to see what you're saying, and I might even respond if I'm on a meeting, right? I might even respond if I'm on a podcast, right? So text, and I think everybody would say that they're much more likely to respond to a text or to a message or to an email or whatever than they are to a phone call. Like yesterday, I deleted 75 voicemails that were left on my phone.
Man.
Somebody sent me a text and said, I tried to leave a voicemail and there was no room in your box. And that's saying a lot with modern day smartphones. You can store a lot of voicemails.
Oh, I'm sure.
So I deleted 75 voicemails, most of which were coming from similar places, and no one basically bothers with them, right? However, if my wife, let's say at 10 p.m. on a Sunday, is after putting kids to bed, is sitting down there and looking on Facebook, sends out a inquiry, and then straight away at 10 p.m. on Sunday, a response comes back saying, "Hey, Tiffany, nice to hear from you. Would love to set you up to come in and try this swim classes tomorrow. We've got some swim classes tomorrow or Thursday. What would work for you?" And Thursday would work. Okay, Thursday our swim classes are between 4 and 6. What time works for you? 5 o'clock works for me. Okay, great. We'll put you in. We'll schedule you in. I've got your phone number. We'll send you a reminder. Do you mind if I have your email so I can put it on your calendar? And then she just sends the email, and then it sets it all up.
Yeah.
That is super, super important. It's basically a extra employee that you have that's working 24/7, 365 days of the year. And we developed this, and there's a lot of AIs out there, if I'm honest with you. And we've built this AI, and we work it with a SaaS tool called Go High Level. And Go High Level has its own AI, but we're able to plug in our own that we were able to develop. And to give you an idea of kind of the conversations that happen, because we get to see a lot of the conversations that come in, we actually have a client in Riverside, Riverside, California, and they had a grandma that was trying to sign up her grandson to ninja classes, right? So ninja classes.
Yeah.
And the grandmother was talking to the AI, and the grandmother thought it was a person. Now, our clients can name the AI whatever they want, and this client named their AI Julie. So Julie was having this conversation with this grandmother to the point where the grandmother started sending photos of her grandkids to the AI, and the AI was responding to, "Oh, how wonderful, how lovely, blah, blah, blah."
Wow.
And to the point where the grandmother at the end of the conversation and went through the whole thing said, I really enjoyed this conversation, Julie. I'm really looking forward to seeing you tomorrow when I come in. And
Yeah.
they said, oh, I would have loved to see you, but I'm sorry I won't be able to see you because I'm not a real person.
Man.
That's what the AI said. Now we
Yeah.
were really surprised because we'd never seen the AI behave this way, but it's
Mhm.
been designed to have a logical, conversational
That's
conversation.
incredible. Yeah.
And so Julie booked the appointment, built a relationship. By the time the grandma came in, the grandma was quite excited to see kind of what this place was like, because the start off to the relationship was really quite positive, even though it was AI. And but mainly the thing for me, just from a transactional standpoint, is whatever time of the day, if you're a small business owner, whatever time of the day your inquiry comes through, so that customer reaches out to you, that somebody is there to answer all the simple questions
Mhm.
and to book them in for an appointment. And that is such a game changer. And if you're not doing it as a small business owner, you have to do it. You have to do it now. And our system, because it works and connects into Go High Level, allows us to collate all of the data of all the different clients, because we have a
Mhm.
system called the Amplify Method. I know I'm
That's
going
right.
on a little bit here, Connor,
No,
but
this is great. I was going to ask you about the Amplify method.
so we have this system called the Amplify Method, and it works really well with Go High Level and the AI specifically, because the AI will work on any form of incoming inquiry. So it will work on email, text, messenger, direct message from Instagram, even a widget that we put on the website so people can actually communicate straight through the website, and all of these different ways of coming in, and obviously leads and everything. So however that mum feels most comfortable communicating with you is what the Amplify method is about. Because one of the things that we found in 2016, we did this little study as we were trying to figure this out, is most lead gen companies have pushed or do push people through a singular way to reach out to them, right? Usually it's like, here, put in your, click here to fill out this form, and a lead is generated, right? What we do is we go in the ad campaigns, we'll say, hey, call this number, message us here, text us here, email us here, blah, blah, blah. So whatever way you feel more comfortable. And many times a mom, especially a mom, they're not really when they first see you, they're not so excited about necessarily filling out a whole bunch of forms about who they are, their phone number and everything. What they're more interested in is just finding out what they're interested in, which
Mhm.
is, do you have classes at this time? Do you have this at that? Or are you able to fix my plumbing? Or are you able to come in and and renovate my kitchen? And, she might be most comfortable doing it over Messenger, right? Because she doesn't have to give any information. She can just message it out. That comes into the IMS, we call it the inquiry management system. That comes in, and Kai will start talking to her. Whatever way she talks, Kai, which is the customer AI that we have,
Mhm.
start having these conversations with these clients. And then the IMS, the inquiry management system, will categorize all the clients. So if you called, it will go in and it will say Connor King Roberts. And then if you text, and it can connect you to, then say, okay, this is the text number that he uses. Here, oh, he messaged us. Here's the messenger. Oh, here's his Instagram, because he's just direct messaged us on Instagram. Oh, he actually spoke to us on the web chat as well, and it kind of will connect you all, like all of
Got
the
it.
ways that you like to communicate. Now, what it also does is it looks at it and goes, kind of likes to text mostly.
Mhm.
So we're going to communicate through text to him because that's where he's most comfortable. And if it's messenger, well, we will communicate if that's where most of the inquiries are coming through, because that's typically the way you feel more comfortable, which means
Yeah.
that there's less friction, which makes it more likely that you'll do business with us, right? So
Gotcha.
so, with AI, and these different tools, and obviously marketing to the right people, you end up having a much smoother, easier process of getting people in through the door, which lowers costs, lowers budgets, makes things a lot more affordable, especially for small business owners. So I feel
Totally.
like I've spoken about a bazillion things in one
Yeah.
long.
Oh my gosh, you're doing great. No, that's what I was truly curious about. And it sounds like you guys like really play or like are working the client, just because you're building literally a client profile, figuring out what works for them, what doesn't, and playing to those strengths just to be able to work with them. Because at the end of the day, you need to make yourself available, like when they're online and when they're available and when they're looking to enroll in classes or in need of your services. So I think that's really cool and very smart. Um, Last quick question for you. I would say that you are a leader in your industry, definitely utilizing some like cutting edge methodologies. Where would you say your industry is going in the next 2 to 5 years?
So I think where our industry is going, I think where we're going, it's hard to know. 5 years, it's like a very murky space for me. I'm still trying to figure it out. But I think what's going to end up happening is AI is going to make a lot of the technical things become easy. So I
Yeah.
think it's going to be less important for us as a marketing firm to actually know what buttons to push on Facebook to put an ad together, because I think that's going to be I think at some point that's going to be generated by AI, and it's going to be very easy for small business owners to just get an ad up. It's pretty easy right now, but it's going to be even easier, and it'll probably be even easier to get one that goes up that actually gets some results as well. Because typically right now it's still not that easy. In fact, it's quite hard. But I think that's going to get easier just from a mechanical standpoint, because the platforms are going to utilize AI to make that work better. Where I think we're going to come in is much more on the consulting side of things, where we're working through the difficulties and the challenges that businesses have and figure out, okay, here's all the different tools that we can use. So yeah, Meta now has a great AI that helps you build an ad, but what do you want on the ad? What should be on the ad? How should you be communicating with that client? Where are the best clients? Who are the best clients? Oftentimes, I don't see that changing anytime soon. Also, we get a lot of, I guess, curveballs thrown at us, where small business owners oftentimes are thrown curveballs. I've got a client that I'm going to be talking to later this afternoon, and he's really uncomfortable because he's been, given a big tax bill that he wasn't expecting, and he's quite stressed out about it. And we're looking at his number, and we're crunching down his numbers, and we're going to go through all of his numbers and go, okay, what can we do to actually mitigate and try to help you pay that bill? He's also concerned that it's coming into the time of year that kids maybe drop out of classes because it's coming into the holidays and the summer break, and looking at the numbers and going, okay, what's working, what's not working, how do we best navigate through this difficult period that you have, which is a little bit unique. It's not like something that Facebook's just going to be able to fix with AI. So I think that's where we're headed. We've solved a lot of problems for clients from the point of view of staffing issues. Not only just finding more staff, but looking at the numbers and looking at the data and going, okay, this is what we see as working in successful businesses such as yourselves, and this is what we're seeing that is not working in businesses like yourselves. Be less this guy and more this guy. And we actually came up with a really cool strategy to actually solve the staffing issues for a lot of our clients, because of going through, okay, we've seen these 12 clients that have no issues like this. What are they doing? And being able to collect that data and be able to bring that over and teach other businesses how to do it. So I would say where we are headed is to be much more consultative, much more problem solving, and utilizing AI to kind of maximize, the possibilities of that consultancy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. And taking successful clients that you've worked with in the past and like duplicating that process to try to make it as like uniform and simplified as possible for future customers. I think that's a great idea.
We definitely try to collate what works. That's probably one of our biggest things that differentiates ourselves from a lot of other clients is digging into actually how other clients operate, even if it's not directly what we're involved in, but we actually really dig into, okay, well these clients do these things work, these things don't, and then we can kind of share that with our clients, and it's become we kind of become almost like a central hub of problem solving, which ultimately comes back to that first thing that I spoke to you about, where if you're staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m. in the morning, worried about how I'm going to get through the day, that, hey, creatively disruptive probably does have a few answers.
Yeah. Well, that's beautiful. I think that's the most important part in the end of the day. Um, cool. Thank you so much. We're going to transition real quick. So now that we talk shop and we understand what you do and the businesses that you've started, there's a game that I like to play with everyone. It's called the lightning round. So it's just 10 quick questions, and you give me the first answer that you can think of,
Sure.
whenever you're ready.
Okay, go.
Cool. For you, coffee or tea?
Tea.
Yep. Cats or dogs?
Cat. Dog. I've got 2 dogs. We don't have a cat right now, but I'll say dogs for now.
Okay, cool. Are the dogs upsetting you this morning or something?
Well, we've only got 2 dogs right now. We did have a lovely little cat that was 18 years old that died
Oh,
about a year ago.
sorry.
So
Yeah, gotcha. And then would you say you're a morning person or night owl?
probably a night owl. Probably shouldn't
Okay,
be, but I am.
that happens. I would say the same. If you could grab one weapon during a zombie apocalypse, what would it be?
Pickaxe, probably.
Okay, I like that. Let them get close, you know? If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Gosh, a superpower. What would it be? Um, 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 gosh, trying to think.
I know there's a lot of them.
I always liked what Tony Stark does, but he doesn't really have a superpower. But I guess his superpower is genius with technology.
Yeah, yeah, just like supreme intellect, just being
Yeah,
a
so maybe
genius. Yeah,
that's it. Maybe that would be it.
yeah, yeah. No, I think Iron Man, Tony Stark is awesome. Agreed. Favorite movie or streaming service? Streaming series, excuse me.
I would say I'm really enjoying Mobland right now.
Mobland. Okay, I've heard good things. I haven't seen it though.
Very good. It's Guy Ritchie. It's very gritty. It's very good. I highly recommend it.
I'll watch that. Thank you. Favorite book that you have?
I'm actually reading this book. I'm actually listening. I actually read this book. It's really, really good. Unreasonable Hospitality. I know it's backwards, but Unreasonable Hospitality. I'm actually listening to the Audible because I like to do that. I'll read it and then I'll listen to the Audible version of it, and
Nice.
it's all about Will. What's his name? Will Guadara. And he his story about building the most, I would say, most successful or most popular, highly rated restaurant in the world. Um,
Wow.
and it's talking about the methodology of unreasonable hospitality. You know, where they go to the nth degree to make their customers unreasonably happy.
Yeah.
So it's
Just
very,
ridiculous lengths to make that happen.
yeah, it's very good.
That's extremely interesting. I'm gonna have to check that out too. It sounds like The Bear, but like in real life, because there's a segment of The Bear that like goes over that. Awesome. Last question for you. Favorite saying or quote that you think about often?
You know, the favorite quote is, and I don't know who said it or if it's just a me thing, but you don't lose until you stop. So, you know, you never stop. There is no failure unless you give up, basically. So don't give up. Failure is prepping you for success. No one learns from success. Everyone learns from failure. So embrace it.
I love that. That's awesome. Awesome. Well, Andy, for any of our viewers out there that want to connect, collaborate, or even work with you, what would be the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Yeah. So if you're an ecom brand, reach out to us on, and all the stuff that we're talking about and all about methodologies and all about ways of doing things kind of equally applies to e-commerce. But if you have an e-commerce brand and you want to reach out to us, go to ashworthstrategy.com and reach out to us through there. And if you want to talk to us about local small business marketing, whatever type, reach out to us through creativelydisruptive.com. You can also reach us on Instagram at Creatively Disruptive and Ashworth Strategy. I think we've got, we definitely have Facebook pages and so forth. Reach out to us through that, and the team can help you. And if you want to speak to me directly, just reach out and message us or DM us, and we'd be happy to help.
That's awesome. Perfect. Lots of different touch points. And guys, I'll put Andy's contact information in the bottom of this episode, the show notes. So everything will be included down there. Other than that, I appreciate your time today, Andy. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. It's been a pleasure chatting.
Thank you.
Of course. All right. See you next time, folks.
Take care.